All right.
Corey Clay.
Hey.
How are you, Ray?
I'm fine, man.
Good.
Thank you.
Is our sound good, Darcel?
Hello? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
So that's good, and are we rolling? Now set. Good. So, Ray Manzarek,
Hey,
how are you?
very good, thank you. Nice to be here.
Can you tell us a little bit about, we haven't seen the panel yet, we're going to take that next, but can you tell us about what you're going to speak about here at Normal, or
You really want me to do that?
kind of the background?
Is that what you want to know?
Well,
Is that your question?
all right.
Are you sure that's the question you want to ask? Is that what you want me to talk about? What I'm going to talk about? You want me to talk about now what I'm going to talk about over there? Okay, we're going to be talking about The Doors and the first time I smoked marijuana and Jim Morrison and psychedelics and intoxication and how it opens consciousness, opens the doors of perception, expands consciousness, and puts you in a receptive state. And that will be what we're going to talk about.
Great. And so, when did you hook up with Normal, or can you tell me a little bit about what
I'd rather not, because it's kind of a private moment. It's a personal, kind of a private, personal moment. It dates back to 420. Is when it dates from 420.
Good stuff. I'm trying to think of...
A question to ask. It's not easy.
No, it is not.
Right. I used to play in a rock band called The Doors. I'm the keyboard player. And I went to school with Jim Morrison at UCLA, and we smoked marijuana together at UCLA, along with other friends. And basically, the band The Doors is a band of potheads. I mean, outside of the drummer, who is not a pothead. But the other guys in the band were potheads, so that's where the music comes from, smoking marijuana.
And what are you doing now? Are you...
I play in a rock band called Riders on the Storm with Robbie Krieger. Robbie Krieger is a guitar player from The Doors, and he wrote Light My Fire, among many other songs. So we go out on the road with a couple of other guys and play Doors songs. And we just got back from the East Coast, which was a great deal of fun. Played the Trump Taj Mahal. That was in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Very exciting. One of the high points of my life, actually, playing in that garish place filled with people gambling and the sounds of gambling.
Aren't you doing poetry too, or something?
No, I don't do poetry. I play with a poet called Michael McClure, a beatnik, who is the mentor of Jim Morrison. And Michael reads his poetry, and I play the piano. I myself write novels. I'm a novelist. I don't do poetry. I do novels. And I have a book out called Light My Fire, My Life with the Doors, in which I explain our use of marijuana and LSD and writing Doors songs and everything about the Doors, and a couple of other books. One book called The Poet in Exile, which is about it's a fictional book about a rock and roll guy who stages his own death in Paris.
Very good.
The Poet in Exile, And then I've got another one based on the Japanese movie called Ugetsu. And the movie Ugetsu was made in 1953-54. Great ghost story set in Japan. And I've taken it and set it in the Civil War, in the American Civil War. And it's called Snake Moon. And so those are 3 books that I have written. So I don't write poetry, I write verse, verbal novel, verse. Verbal.
Are you, do you spend a lot of time up in San Francisco? Do you have a home up there?
I live in Napa.
Nice.
So Dorothy and I have moved out of Los Angeles, and we've decided to live up in Northern California, and we moved up to the wine country, live in the wine country. It's lovely. We've got a couple of acres, and we've got some chickens, and we raise our own vegetables, and a couple of fruit trees, and a little fish pond, and kitty cat, and eat chicken eggs, and like that. Except the chickens are molting right now, so they're not laying eggs, they're molting. But this will be cut out of the show, I'm sure. Who cares, Ray, about the chickens molting? We want to know. Normal. Anyway.
Well, Listen, Ray, it was great for you to take some time.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man. My pleasure. Let's hope we can all live together in peace and harmony, love, and legalize marijuana, for God's sake. I mean, what's the problem? Decriminalize it. Let's not legalize it. There's no penalty. There are no penalties. If anything, if you have to penalize, and you may have to do that because we are a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant Christian culture, so we may have to have penalties, because you cannot have too much enjoyment without a penalty, because that, I think, is against Yahweh, I think. He doesn't want you to really enjoy yourselves here. You have to suffer. Anyway, if there's going to be a penalty, make a little cash penalty. All right, if you're caught with some, caught with a little bag and a couple of joints, you get $100.
Traffic ticket.
Traffic ticket. Traffic ticket would be perfect. Here's your traffic ticket. Caught you smoking pot there. Here, your traffic ticket, and you have to go to pot court, which would be fun because the judge himself could just be a stoner. You never know. Imagine what pot court could be like. It'd be like, there was a TV show about night court. Pot court. A new series coming soon, Pot Court. I'd like to see it.
That idea.
Well, you never know. Could be a communist.
Good
All right.
stuff. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure, man. Great talking to you guys. All right, standing up.
Okay.
All right.
Don't you hate when that happens?
Oh, yeah, that's the photo right there. Yeah, that was the first time I smoked.
There it is. This is an amazing photo that we sort of happened upon. We were looking for something to use on this page, and I was like, could this be more perfect? This is in Venice Beach. Do you remember what year or around what time?
Somewhere between 1965 and 1971.
Okay. He can narrow it down to 5 years. We're doing pretty good here.
All right, 1968. All right, it's very important. Which year was that, Ray? I tell people, what does it matter? It's especially at this end of my life, it's like years, days, they don't matter. The time is an ephemeral thing. Time is some sort of Judeo-Christian construct that has nothing to do with smoking marijuana. Smoking marijuana puts you into a timeless state, or a state in which you are kind of revolving with the planet in its eternal rotation around the sun. We are in outer space. I don't want to make it spooky and make anybody get, whoa, I'm scared, Ray. I don't want that to happen, but you like outer space? You're in outer space. 365 days to go around the star, 1,000 miles an hour, holding us down, the gravity holding us down on the planet. Don't get scared.
You ever look at a $20 bill on weed, Ray?
What is that eyeball on that eyeball is looking at me all the time. And Robbie said, "You're paranoid, Ray." I said, "No, I'm not paranoid. There's somebody behind there. There's a little cutout there, and there's an eyeball in there, and above that pyramid. What is that? Who's that looking at me?" So anyway, we smoked, the Doors smoked marijuana, and we became the ultimate Christians, in that we realized that the dictates of the Heartmaster from Jerusalem 2,000 years ago said, "Love thy neighbor as thyself," and that's the the whole of the law will be love thy neighbor as thyself. And I don't know whether or not he said, "Worship the Lord thy God with thy whole mind, thy whole heart, and thy whole soul." I mean, it's like you are God in your whole mind, whole heart, and whole soul. So I don't know that you need to worship God. I think by just living your life, you are performing godly activities that absolutely delight the energy that created all of us, and the energy that we all are and all things are. What's great about marijuana is that it opens the doors of perception, and you can go beyond that into psychedelics, into LSD, and mescaline and peyote et al. Mushrooms. But the marijuana is just, first time I smoked it, it was just absolutely great. I thought, boy, is this stuff good? What is this? Wow. Music is like the purest example of the purest representation of that marijuana high. Absolutely delightful, absolutely stunning, thrilling, the notes, the music, the sound of a bass that play jazz, coming out of a jazz foundation, just that bass going boom, 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 the vibrations of it. After all, music is the most ephemeral of all the art forms. It's it deals in vibrations. That's all it is. It's a plucked note. It's a played note. It's a struck as I do on the keyboard. It's Robbie playing a guitar, John hitting a drum. It exists and it's gone in an instant. And where does it go? Where does that sound go? We'll never know. It doesn't matter. But you can feel that within your body. You feel your body vibrating to the energy of those instruments being plucked. So the first time the Doors get together, Jim and I have gone to the UCLA Film School, and what a great time I had at UCLA. I met my wife, and we're still married, Dorothy Fujikawa, Manzarek, who has been my wife for, it'll be 41 years in December. You should give her a hand, actually, for putting up with me, I mean, I didn't have to do anything, She's the one who did the great job, and probably kept me alive. Had it not been for her, I wouldn't be here. I'd be dead through excess or something. Some stupid thing that rock and roll musicians do, and kill themselves. I mean, what a tragedy! Jim Morrison, Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, Kurt Cobain, Brian Jones, all 27. So for those of you into numerology, 7 and 2 is 9. That's like the number. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'll leave it there. But they were all 27. They couldn't make that leap into adulthood. One of the problems of rock and roll is that it's not so much an idea of eternal youth, but it's like, I know in Jim's sake, Jim didn't want to. He didn't want to become authority. He said, you can't make peace with authority because you become an authority. That's what we have to do. We have to become the authority. Otherwise, guess who's going to be the authority? It's going to be John McCain and Sarah Palin. They'll be more than happy to take on the mantleship of authority. And holy fuck, do we have to go through that another 4 years? Oh my God. Yeah, we'll be the authority here. What do you think, George? Yeah, that's right, Dick, that's right. Call me Mr. Cheney. Oh, okay, Mr. Cheney. I'm looking forward to the Oliver Stone movie, too. It's going to be interesting. Anyway, the first time John and Robbie and Jim and I all played together was one of those. I was doing, as he was singing it to me, I was doing Ray Charles and Jimmy Smith kind of organ, kind of stuff behind it. And then at the end of the song, death enters the equation. Come on, baby, gonna take a little ride, going down by the ocean side. Get real close, get real tight. Baby, gonna drown tonight. And I went, whoa, Jesus, Jim. Like double suicide in many Japanese movies, a classic motif is double suicide, in which the two lovers cannot work it out, and the guy and the girl, they have no other alternative. They can't get married because dad wants the girl to marry somebody else, and the guy, and it doesn't work, and double suicide. This was a Western Pacific Coast version of driving down Pacific Coast Highway, and double suicide, and I just got the shivers from it. Which, of course, I loved, appealed immediately to my Slavic sensibility, dark and moody and, Catholic and Slavic and all of that. And yeah, I can play that, man. I can play that. So we get together, John and Robbie. I meet John and Robbie at the Maharishi's meditation, the same thing the Beatles were into. It was late 1965, after having some LSD bummers, after magnificent opening the doors of perception LSD experiences, one with the universe, and then total isolation from the universe, going to hell. So I went to heaven and went to hell. Anybody else go to heaven and go to hell on LSD? All right. It's so good to be talking to people who understand what this is about. Yes. God bless you. God bless you, people. You go to hell and it's like, oh my God, I'm totally isolated from the universe. Of course, we know what being totally one with the universe is. It's the most divine feeling there is, and it's what's going to happen to us after we die. You know, Jim once said to me, he said, Ray, what do you think's going to happen to us after we die? What happens when you die? And I said, we're on the way to the airport. I had to pick him up. We're going to the airport. We got a gig on the East Coast. I said, come on, man, we got to go. It's not time for a philosophical discussion about spiritual discussion. I said, I don't think there is any death. There is no death. You just go on into eternity. He said, okay, yeah, maybe, man. I don't know. But what do you think happens to you when you die? So anyway, I think what we do is we have that divine experience of oneness in which we are all one with all things and all the energy. In other words, we are God, God is us. All of our activities is God saying, yeah, that's what I intended in the first place. Yeah, so that we're all, just living these fleshy forms that can experience such absolute joy and sensuality and eating and fucking, and what could be better? Holy cow, just absolutely great. And you think about a woman giving birth. I mean, how the hell does that happen? You're with as a woman, you're with your man, and your man is just, yeah, and it's so good. God, that's good. And squit, and the guy goes, yeah, well, God, that was good. And guess what? You make a baby. How the hell does that happen? Who does that? That's God. That's you. That's all of us. That's everything. So anyway, John and Robbie and I get together in Venice Beach, and we've met at the Maharishi's meditation. Same thing the Beatles were into. I'm gonna learn how to meditate so I can do an LSD high without having anything to do with actually taking LSD, because I couldn't go to hell. Totally isolated, the devil, the ninth circle of hell, frozen, locked out of the flow of all the energy. God, what an awful experience that was. Because I asked the acid, I said, give me that great oneness experience again, and LSD and its divine wisdom said, you're telling me what to do, Ray? I'm gonna show you what this is all about, boy. You ain't been to hell, you've been to heaven, but you ain't been to hell. Go to hell. So I did. I went to hell and totally lost my mind. And little by little, through through the grace of my wife and existentialism, Friedrich Nietzsche put it all back together again. John and Robbie and I get together, and Jim get together for a rehearsal. And the very first song we play is "Moonlight Drive," which is the first song Jim sang to me on the beach. So I showed Robbie the chord changes. Pretty simple, a blues song. Let's swim to the moon. Modulate from the G up to the A. Pretty straight ahead song. Robbie says, hey, I got an idea, man. Look at this. I got an idea. He opens inside of a guitar case. He opens that little thing in there, whatever the hell guitar, where they keep their picks and extra strings, and he pulls out this weapon. And this weapon is like this broken off bottleneck. And I thought, holy shit, man, what kind of gigs do you play where you gotta have this thing that's it's like a knife. It's all jagged on the edges, and really you can hold it right, fits right in your hand right there. He said, what are you talking about? I said, isn't that a weapon for self-defense? Where do you play? He said, no, Ray, you ridiculous. It's a bottleneck. Look, I put it on my finger, and then he goes, meow, meow, Ravi Shankar, meow, I said, oh my God. He said, watch this. Morrison starts to go, he starts elevating. Hold him down, Jim. He might have been 6 inches off the ground before I grabbed him by the shoulders and pushed him back. Jim, stay on the ground. He said, Ray, I love that sound. I love that sound. I said, yeah, I do too. He said, I want that on every single record, every song we play. I said, you want it on every song? He said, well, All right, maybe not every song, but a lot of them. I said, okay, all right, fair enough, man, fair enough. So I showed Robbie the chord changes, showed John the beat. Robbie's got his bottleneck on, and we start to play Smoke a Joint. The Holy Sacrament is passed around. Jim, of course, Morrison the Stoner had a joint. Hey, let's smoke a joint before. Oh, all right, yeah, you get it, and then you get it, and it's back. Okay. All right. We know the chord changes. We got the bottleneck. Jim knows the lyrics. Got everything together. John knows the beat. We've all smoked a joint. Now it's time to play. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Da ding ding ding, da ding ding ding, da ding ding ding. I'm playing John's end. Ding. Robbie comes in. Bang, ding ding ding, and the song's just going along about that tempo. Morrison starts to sing. That Chet Baker voice, that haunted voice of his. Let's swim to the moon. Let's climb through the tide. I'm doing this. Robbie's going bang, 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 ding, ding, ding. And the song is just like moving along through time and space. All of a sudden, everything becomes infinite or totally locked into this moment. I don't know whether I was totally in this moment or totally into infinity. And the song just continues, and then Robbie plays a solo after 2 verses, and it's amazing, and we modulate. We're gone from the G up to the A, and we're doing a hard rock. And then the end of the song comes along, and it's sort of a fade out, and Jim says, baby, gonna drown tonight, going down, down, down. Gonna drown tonight, down. And the song just kind of fades out. And it was like we all looked at each other and went, fuck, man, holy shit, what have we just done? Oh my, are we allowed to do that on this planet?
Right.
And that was it, Moonlight Drive. And at that point, it was like everybody knew. We all just sort of nodded our heads and said, potheads, yeah, yeah. And that was it. That was the birth of the Doors right there.
That is such an amazing story. I love that story.
Thank you.
So, Ray, since W is coming out this weekend, what did you think of the Oliver Doors movie?
The Oliver Stone movie was an Oliver Stone movie at the time. I don't know, maybe the Bush movie will be good. He sort of seems, I've seen him on TV, he seems to be a bit mellowed. I think he's been through enough crazy hard drugs. He was a cokehead, man. Jesus, coke and tequila is what he was doing when the Doors movie came along. I thought, wrong drugs, don't do coke and tequila, do LSD. And Oliver Stone's, I'm not going near LSD, it'll change me. Well, wouldn't that be great? Who cares, man? What are you happy with the way you are? You're a cokehead and a tequila head, and for God's sake, you're gonna get in real trouble, watch out. And he's a good filmmaker, and he's a very intelligent guy. But the Doors movie, I thought, was from his crazy era, from his wild, just crazy. And he just didn't understand he didn't understand the organic nature of the Doors. He didn't understand Indian mysticism. He didn't understand. I told him, I said, listen, where's John and Robbie and Ray meeting at the Maharishi's meditation? And he said, that's a cliche. And I said, what the cliche? They've only been doing this for what, 5,000 years? Young men seeking their enlightenment through Buddhism, or Vedanta, Hindu mysticism. Are you kidding? What's the cliche? He said, that's a cliche. We want that Jim Morrison. Oh, I understand. Okay, yeah, you want the crazy Jim Morrison. So, out of that, what you get is the crazy Jim Morrison without the philosophy. And Jim was not an insane poet spouting his poetry on the beach in Venice, going blah, 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 lions in the streets and roaming. He might have as well had Val Kilmer doing it with a British accent. Dogs in heat, rabid, foaming. Poets don't do that. Poets write. They're very internal people. So he missed the whole internal aspect of Jim Morrison. And it was just over the top. It was goofy. You know, he didn't have the Ed Sullivan Show right. I mean, that would have been a great scene. I told him all about the Ed Sullivan Show, but he didn't want to do that. He wanted the internal tension. He had to have the internal tension within the band. And I told him, I said, it's not the internal tension within the band. That's not the drama. It's the Doors vis-a-vis the government. It's the establishment. It's all the hippies, all the potheads, all the acid heads going up against the establishment. That's the battle, and it still is to this very moment. So for God's sake, everybody get out and vote for Barack Obama.